So now let us continue looking at our jargons. Our next jargon is the URL, which stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So what then is a URL? A URL is basically an address that has been assigned to a resource that is found on the website or on the internet. So if it is a document like the WAEC results, that is a document that has a place on the internet. So how do you get access to that document? You need an address. Just as if you want to talk to a person, you want to talk to somebody, you need their phone number. But there is more to this address. It has a certain protocol that it follows. So now let's pay attention to a typical example of a URL. The first one or the first segment is the protocol. Just as I said, in networking, there are protocols that you have to follow so that whatever device that is receiving your request knows where you are coming from. So in this request or in this URL, the protocol is the HTTP protocol, which stands for the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This protocol has even been improved because of late we have the HTTPS, which is more secure than the HTTP. When we get to forms and form processing, we are going to talk more about the HTTPS. But for now, take it that the HTTPS is a secure version of the HTTP protocol. The next layer is the host name and the domain name. If you are accessing an item or a resource through the internet or through the web, you use the www.protocol. Next level is the example.com, which stands for the domain name. Just as we have already said, this domain name actually maps onto a server using the IP address, and then we go to the path. So the path is actually a folder that is on the domain server. So this folder is called 2018, and within the 2018 folder there's another folder called samples, and within that samples folder there's a file called first.html, and this is the file that the browser is looking for. So this is how the whole thing would look like. Hey server, get me a file called first.html using the HTTP protocol. This file is in the folder called 2018, which is also having a folder called samples, which has this file first.html, and this whole thing is the protocol that we use to request for files via the internet. We are supposed to know if you can zip files using WinRAR or an inbuilt program when you are on Windows 11. If you can upload and download files, if you can create folders, you know the essence of file extension, and then you know simple CMD stuff. With a simple CMD stuff, you are not really expected to know, since this course is for absolute beginners. I'll really take you through. So the command prompt is basically a simple interface that allows the web developer or the computer programmer or any user at all to interact directly with the system's operating system. So all the actions that can be taken using the graphical user interface can equally be executed by using the command prompt. For example, you can copy files, delete files, move folders, create a lot of things and even connect to an internet service through the command prompt. I know this may sound quite strange to the absolute beginner, but it is what it is. Yes, you can execute all these tasks by using the command prompt. So let us dive right into it. You just open your start button, look for CMD, and then you right click and run as an administrator. So our command prompt has been opened successfully. So this is our command prompt. Let us enter a few commands, just as we mentioned that we can create folders and do a whole lot of stuff using the command prompt. So when you type dir, so this prints the directory you are in now. So it means there are a whole lot of folders in this directory. So these are all the files and folders that are in this directory. You may think this is like the hacking movie you sometimes watch. Yes, that is basically what we are doing, but this is a constructive one. Okay, so all these are the folders and the files that are located in your directory. Here in web design, when we say a directory, what we simply mean is a storage container on the computer. So it can be a folder. So directories basically refer to folder in the world of programming. So we have opened our directory. We just wanted to list the number of files and folders that we have in our directory, and let's do that again. We have a whole lot of files and folders found here. Okay, so let's do something fancy now. Let us minimize. Okay, and then create a folder here. For the purpose of our class, let us name it PAJEX Python. Okay, let us name it PAJEX so that we don't bring complexities. We would add some level of complexity in a few moments. So this is our PAJEX folder that has been opening. It's been opened. So currently this is the directory in which we are. C/Windows/32 system. So we can open this directory. We can press Ctrl+C to get that, and then come here and then paste it. Let's see if that is going to work. So this is actually the directory that has been opened. So this is the folder that automatically we have been kept inside. So these are all the files that were written or they were shown when we tried entering dir. So dir basically lists all the folders and files that you have in your directory. Sweet. So now we want to change the directory to this folder. So when we open, we can see that this, yes, after clicking, we realize that this is in the C, or it's on the C drive, in the users directory, in also a folder called PAG Hub. And then in PAG Hub, we have a folder called desktop. And then in desktop, we have a folder called PAJEX. Okay, so this is actually the folder. So it means that our desktop is also a directory. That is what I want you to get. Yes, our desktop is also a directory. So right now, what we are going to do is that we want to point this directory. We want to move from C Windows System 32 to our current directory, which is phx. So all that we can do is to copy this. Yes, let us copy and then write the command cd, and cd stands for change directory. Let's see if that is going to work. So cd, we write the disk. So this is the disk drive C, and then in drive C there is a folder called users. We can actually explore that, but I would leave that to you. Kindly explore that and then send screenshots, or you do a screen recording whilst you're exploring, so that I know that you actually get what we are doing. So explore your desktop from your system's directory. So you come to C. If you want to explore, you come to C. In C there is a folder called users, and then in the folder called users there's a folder also called PHG Hub, and here you should find our desktop folder, and then in the desktop folder you find this folder called phx. You get it? So we want to change directory to this very folder, this phx folder. So we write cd, which stands for change directory, and then we add the path or the location of the folder, and then we press enter. Let's see what is going to happen. So you see that as soon as we pressed enter, our directory changed from C Windows System 32 to C users PHG Hub desktop /phx. So currently we are in this directory. So let us see what we can do. We can create a folder. So if we want to create a folder, we use the command mkdir, which stands for make directory, and then the name of the folder we want to create. So let's say Python programming, then we press enter. So since we didn't get any error, it means that our folder has been created. You can see that the status of this folder has been changed, so you can see there is something inside. So we double click, and then voila, that is the folder we have created. Now let us look at how we are going to create a file within the folder that we have created. The first thing we are going to do is to enter that specific directory, which is the Python programming. So just as we did, we type, you want to change directory because currently you are in the phx folder, which is this one, but Python programming is within the phx folder, and so you change directory and then you enter the file Python programming, and then you hit the enter key. So currently we are in the Python programming folder. Now let us see how we are going to create a file within that folder. So to create a file, we write echo. So we create a file with some text in the file. So we can write something like echo, I am happy to learn with PHX Africa. So you bring your full stop, and then you bring the greater than sign. This is going to separate the text you have written from the name of the file. So the next thing we are going to write is the name of the file. So let's say Python file. So let's name the file, let's give it a nice name. Okay, my file or my first file. Let's write everything together. Usually when you are programming and you leave a lot of space, you are likely to get an error. Usually variables are named together. There are conventions. We would go through that, but let's put the names together, and then txt txt is basically the file extension. So almost every file on your computer has an extension, and the extension is what tells the operating system or what tells the computer the kind of program that the file is for. So this .txt tells the computer that this file is a text file, so you can open with a notepad. As we move on, you would realize that for you to create a file that you can upload on the internet as a website, it should have a certain extension, and we are going to learn about that extension. So let us just click, let's press the enter key, and that's all. Our file has been created. So let us open the Python programming folder, and we see our file. Let us open that file and see what is in there. So there we have it. I am happy to learn with PHX Africa. That is the text, that is exactly the text we entered, and that is what is showing. So you can go ahead, move this further, practice more, create a lot of text files, practice, and then show me what you have done. So right now in this Python programming folder, we can write the dir command to check and see the number of files we have. So we can see that we have just one file here because all these are directories. So the 1 dot and the 2 dots have their meanings. We'll get to know them when we start linking CSS files. So right now, let us not really wonder about the 1 and 2 dots, but we can see that this is basically the file that we have in there. Just one file. So this is just one file, but we have two nested directories. We'll get there. So you can see that my first file can be found in this folder. Now let us do one simple fancy command and then move on with our studies. So right now we want to check the networks that we are connected over. So we come here, we enter ipconfig, and we hit the enter key. We can see that using, let me enlarge this. So you can see that using the wireless connection, where's that? Okay, so through the Ethernet adapter, we have it's disconnected, and then with wireless, it is connected to the KNUST Wi-Fi. Okay, so later in the course, we'll be using this ipconfig to connect whatever site we are building to our phone so that we can view our site nicely on our phone. We'll look at how the site is looking on our phone as well. So you can keep this command in mind. You'll be using the ipconfig when you are dealing with cyber security and networking. But since that isn't our focus, we wouldn't use that much. We'd only need it when we are connecting our website over the internet.